After pouring my heart out to Amy about how scared I was of Richard, she hugged me tightly. "I'm so happy you're here," she whispered. Then she left to meet Chad, and suddenly I was alone. I went into the bathroom and splashed cold water across my face. What the hell was I doing here? On a yacht, in the middle of the ocean, with people I barely knew. Yes, I had known Amy for years, but even she seemed different now. Softer, calmer, like she belonged here. I looked out the yacht window. The sky was clear blue. The ocean stretched endlessly around us, and the shoreline was getting farther and farther away. A strange feeling settled in my stomach. There was nowhere to go now. Then a knock came at the door. I froze instantly because part of me already knew who it was. Slowly, I opened it. Richard stood there holding a small gift bag. The sunlight behind him made his eyes almost impossible to look at directly. Too blue, too clear. "This is for you," he said softly. I blinked. "Richard, you shouldn't have." His eyes stayed on mine, steady, intense. "I thought about you a great deal." Something about the way he said it made my chest tighten. Not flirtatious, certain, like he meant every word literally. I looked down at the bag. "Should I open it?" "Whenever you want." I slowly reached inside and pulled out a jewelry box. My hands immediately tightened. I opened it carefully. Inside was my watch, the exact one Amy had given me years ago, the one I lost months ago. I looked up immediately. "How did you find this?" Richard watched my reaction quietly, almost studying me. "Amy told me it meant something to you. You searched for it for a very long time." My head snapped upward. "How do you know that?" Silence, then softly. "You wear your emotions openly, Claire." Something about the answer didn't feel right. Richard stepped slightly closer. "I don't want you to want for anything," his voice lowered, warmer now, more personal. "And I don't want you to be sad." For a second, his eyes changed, darkened, not fully, just enough to notice. Then they were blue again. I stepped backward, my pulse quickening. Richard immediately noticed. Something almost guilty crossed his face. "I won't hurt you." Silence. "You're everything I need." The words should have terrified me. Instead, they made my chest ache, and somehow they scared me even more. Later that evening, Amy returned wearing a beautiful black dress. She smiled the second she saw me, then looked down at my clothes and laughed. "It's a good thing I know your size." She opened the door to a closet. Inside were several dresses, beautiful, elegant, expensive, and somehow exactly my style. Dinner on the main deck felt surreal. Soft music drifted through the air. Candles flickered against the ocean wind. Richard mostly made small talk. He asked about my work, school, travel, places I wanted to see, and somehow he made me feel completely at ease. That was the frightening part. At one point during dinner, I accidentally cut my finger on the edge of a wine glass. Not badly, just enough for a tiny drop of blood to appear. Richard froze, only for half a second. Still, I noticed. His eyes locked onto my hand too intensely, too long. Then instantly he relaxed again, calm, controlled. He handed me a napkin, careful. After dinner, Richard stood slowly. "Would you like to take a walk?" Every instinct told me no, yet somehow I still answered, "Okay." We walked quietly along the side deck while the yacht moved across the dark water. The wind pushed softly through my hair. Richard told me stories about traveling, business, old cities, places he had lived. Then casually, without thinking, he said Paris was beautiful in 1912. Huh? I laughed. You mean pictures of Paris? Richard stopped walking, only briefly, then slowly smiled. Yes. A pause. Pictures. A chill moved through me. Richard looked over at me. I know we met under circumstances where you normally wouldn't meet someone like me. The moonlight reflected across the water behind him. But I want to know you. Silence. I want to travel with you. His voice lowered. I want you. My heart pounded painfully hard, part fear, part something worse. But one question still burned inside me. What are you? Richard became completely still. Then finally he answered, I'm a vampire. The wind moved softly around us, the ocean below, the endless dark water, yet somehow his voice remained calm, almost human. But sunlight doesn't affect me or Chad. He looked back toward the glowing yacht. We're different. A pause, and so is my family. I stared at him speechless. I'm telling you because I see your soul. His eyes held mine, and I understand something about you. The wind moved gently through my hair. You've been searching for me too. Before I could answer, Amy suddenly appeared smiling. Claire! I turned immediately. Amy stood beneath the yacht's lights wearing her black dress. For a moment I wondered how long she had been standing there. There you two are, Richard smiled. We were talking. Amy laughed softly. I can see that. The smile slowly faded from Amy's face. Something changed in her expression, something serious. He told you, didn't he? I swallowed. You knew? Amy nodded. Of course I knew. He's a vampire. Amy didn't laugh. She didn't deny it. She simply looked directly into my eyes. Yeah. Silence. Ocean, wind, dark water. And he's one of the good ones. I stared at her. You actually believe that? Amy smiled sadly. I've known Richard for a long time. She glanced toward him. Longer than you realize. Amy stepped closer. For the first time all evening, her expression became completely serious. You're my only family, and I would never bring you somewhere dangerous. The words felt sincere, and that was the problem. I believed her. A little later that night, Amy and I sat together in the yacht pool. The ocean stretched endlessly behind us. Moonlight danced across the dark water. For a while, neither of us spoke. I couldn't stop thinking about Richard. His eyes, his voice, the way he looked at me, the way he said it. I'm a vampire. Yet somehow, I wasn't terrified, and that scared me more than anything. Amy floated quietly beside me. Then finally she looked over. You're thinking about him. I sighed. There's no way you aren't. Amy smiled faintly. Then the smile slowly disappeared. Her expression changed. More serious now. More intense. He told me what he is. Amy nodded. Yeah. Silence. He's a vampire. The ocean moved gently around the yacht. Everything felt too beautiful for the conversation we were having. You already knew. Of course I did. Her answer came without hesitation, without fear, without doubt. I'm glad he told you himself. I stared at her. You really trust him. Amy looked away toward the dark ocean, then back at me with my life. The water rippled softly around us. Then Amy moved closer. For the first time all night, her expression became completely serious. Claire, her voice was almost a whisper, you're my only family. Emotion tightened in her voice. Real emotion. You and I don't keep secrets from each other. I nodded slowly. Amy held my gaze. Then her eyes drifted toward the endless dark water. There's still so much you don't understand. The moonlight danced across the ocean. I stared at her. What does that mean? Amy didn't answer. She simply looked out across the water. And for the first time since arriving on the yacht, I wasn't sure Richard was the mystery anymore.